Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina wa alihi at-tahirin. Wa la'natullahi ala a'daihim ajma'in. Inshallah, this is our orientation to go over the trip that, Alhamdulillah, we've all been blessed and granted the tawfiq from Allah to be attending next week. Um, I have a list of topics that we want to go through. Please feel free to interrupt at any time if you have any questions or if anything doesn't make sense. And we can hoping that this would be more conversational and less of just me talking. Um, this is just sort of the agenda, and then we'll go through each of these items. Hopefully, this whole session should not take more than an hour. And again, we're recording it for those who are not able to attend, and we can share the recording with them. First things first, as you know, we're departing on DIA from DIA on Friday at 7:35 p.m. Our layover in Istanbul is for 11 hours, and then we'll arrive into Baghdad on Sunday, November 24th at 7:40 a.m. Everybody should have a copy of their tickets that I emailed or forwarded them on to you. If you don't, please reach out to me and I can forward it back to you again. The plan is to meet at the Turkish Airlines counter at DIA, which is the West Terminal and the sixth floor, the departures area, by 4:30 p.m. I know that's 3 hours in advance, but number one, keep in mind it's an international flight. And number two, we have to check everybody's luggage in. So a group of, Alhamdulillah, we have 20 people in this group. That itself will take like almost 30 to 45 minutes just to get everybody's luggage checked in. So please meet us at the Turkish airline counter by 4:30. And then that's assuming that your family is just gonna pull up on the sixth floor, drop you off, and leave. If your family is also gonna come inside because they want to say Khuda Hafiz and all of that, and so if they're going to park in the parking lot, please be at DIA by 4 o'clock. I don't know if any of you has traveled recently through DIA, but parking is pretty bad. When I went to go pick up my mom, we actually couldn't find parking in the garage, and we had to park in the open air parking, and it took about 20 minutes to get from there inside to the airport. So if you're planning to park, please be there by 4. If you're just getting dropped off at the departures area, then no later than 4:30. At some point, I know we might wait like 5-10 minutes, but we'll have to just start checking people in. And if somebody is just running super late, we don't want the rest of the group to miss the trip because of, one person or two people. So we might just, go forward. And then if you're going to be there, like, let's say 1 hour late, you still have a copy of your ticket. So hopefully you're able to make it and are able to join the group. But we don't want to delay the rest of the group because, one person or two people are running late. So please plan to be like physically at the Turkish Airlines counter by 4:30 p.m. on Friday, inshallah. This is our itinerary, and I'll post this in the WhatsApp group in case it's hard to read. But basically, we're going to fly into Baghdad on that Sunday morning on November 24th. By the time we get to our hotel in Kazimain, it will be around noon. So we'll check into the hotel. We'll have the rest of that day in Kazimain. And then we have all day Monday in Kazimain as well. So we'll do basically a day and a half in Kazimain. When we get there, and we'll share the details as we get, closer for each day, what the specific itinerary looks like, what time we're going. But we get to the hotel at 12 o'clock. You check into your rooms, shower, have lunch, rest on all of that. And then we can do a trip as a group to the harams, like maybe at 3 o'clock, and we'll share the exact details closer to the time. But we go as a group, we'll do the introductions, kind of what to do, all of that. And then we can go there, spend maybe 2 hours, do our namaz, come back. And then so we have that one visit to the haram on Sunday afternoon, evening, and then we have all day Monday. If you'd like to go on your own, would you like to go as a group or go as pairs, to get another full day in Kazimain on Monday. Tuesday morning, we leave Kazimain, and then we go to Balad and Samarra. sorry, let me back up. I'm sure everybody knows, but just to reiterate, Kazemain is close to Baghdad, and that's where Imam Musa Kazim alayhi salam and Imam Jawad alayhi salam are buried. So their shrine is in Kazemain. On Tuesday, we depart Kazemain. We will stop at Balad. On the way, there's a shrine in Balad as well for Sayyid Muhammad, who was the son of Imam Hadi alayhi salam. And then we go to Samarra. Samarra, as we know, is where Imam Hadi alayhi salam and Imam Askari alayhi salam is buried, as well as Hazrat Hakima, the sister of Imam Hadi alayhi salam, and Lady Narjis, the mother of our 12th Imam, and other personalities are buried in Samarra as well. We'll get about 3-4 hours in Samarra. So there's a lunch that's provided over there. We'll be able to do the Jamaat prayers. Unfortunately, there are no hotels in Samarra. So if you've been to Ziyarat before, you know that Samarra is only a day trip. So we'll go to Samarra. We'll spend about 3-4 hours, and then we will go to Karbala. So we'll arrive Tuesday evening in Karbala. We'll spend all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, and all day Friday we'll get in Karbala. So you have Thursday night in Karbala, you'll have Friday prayers in Karbala. Saturday, we leave Karbala on November 30th. On the way to Najaf, we will stop where the shrine of Hazrat Hur alayhi salam is, as well as the Tiflan Muslim, the sons of Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam, that are buried along the way. So we'll stop there on the way, and then we get to Najaf late afternoon on Saturday. We'll get all day in Saturday, all day Sunday in Najaf, all day Monday in Najaf, and then Monday night, Tuesday, basically at right after midnight, we'll leave for the airport on Tuesday at 12:30 a.m. And like I said, before each day, we'll give like a more detailed itinerary of like what time, at least once a day we can go to the Haram together as a group. We'll do lectures and workshops and discussions as well. So we'll have like detailed schedules for each day, at least like 24 hours in advance. And then the rest of the time obviously is yours. You can go to the Haram at any time during the day that you would like to go. I'm not 100% sure about Kazemain, but I know for sure Najaf and Karbala are open 24/7. So you can go any time of the day or night to perform your ziyarat or to do mustahabat there. Any questions? Okay, these are the hotels that we're staying at in Kazemain. It's called Al-Khafaji. In Karbala, it's Hayat Karbala, and Najaf is Qasr al-Dur. So you can see, I don't know if you can see the Google Maps here, but Al-Khafaji is about a 10-minute walk to the Harams. Hayat Karbala is a 6-minute walk to the Haram of Hazrat Abbas. And then Qasr al-Dur, if you've been to Najaf, it's literally you walk out and you walk into the Haram. It's a 2-3 minute walk to there. So all the hotels, alhamdulillah, these are very close to the Harams, and these are mostly higher end, nicer hotels. And so alhamdulillah, we're able to arrange for those because this is not a busy time of the year, so the prices were reasonable. And one of the things before you get worried, we'll have lanyards for everybody, and on the lanyard there will be the name, the phone number of the hotel. All of this information will be printed on there so that you keep that with you at all times when you go to the Harams, so that God forbid if you get lost on the way back, all the information that you need, you can ask somebody like, this is the name of my hotel, how do I get there? All of that will be there on the lanyard. What to bring with you as far as packing? So there is laundry service available in the hotels. I'm not sure the quality of it or how much it costs. So the recommendation is that you just bring 8 to 10 outfits, and that way you don't have to worry about laundry. It's better to have neutral or darker colors because it is the Ayyam of Fatimiyya, so there will be, black decoration in the harams. The dates that we're going fall in between the two Fatimiyya dates. So it is a period of Aza, which means it's better to have sort of more muted colors and darker colors if possible. The sisters have to have abayas and chadars to enter the shrine, so please make sure you bring those. I've heard different versions of how strict they can be as far as, looseness and tightness of clothes, and so it's better to just have an abaya or have a chadar and that way you don't have any problems going inside the harams. Obviously, any toiletries that you want to bring with you, the hotels usually have shampoo and soap. Toilet paper is usually there, but obviously, things like deodorant, perfume, or if you have your own preferred shampoo or toothpaste, things that you want to bring, you bring those. The weather in Iraq at that time is going to be in the 50s and 60s. But you know that the night time can get kind of chilly. So it would be good to bring at least one mid-weight jacket. So not like a very heavy jacket like you need in the snow in Colorado, but something that's sort of medium weight because we might do some late night trips. Like we might go to Masjid al-Kufa, or if you want to go to the Haram on your own at nighttime when it's not as busy and it's not as crowded, and it'd be good to just have a jacket with you. International power converter for phone charger. You can get these on Amazon. I can send a link in the group, but they're about $10, and you can use those to charge your phone because Iraq is on a different voltage system than the United States. And then obviously, if any Tylenol, ibuprofen, if you would like to, in case you get sick or something happens. Obviously, there's pharmacies there, but it's better to just have these things when you travel. As far as on the carry-on or on your backpack, a few things. Please bring the visa form, which I will send in the WhatsApp group. Please print out the visa form and fill it out and bring it with you, or you can fill it on the airplane since you'll have a lot of time on the plane. A color copy of your passport. So those two things for sure we need to have because we do visa upon arrival in Iraq. Any electronics that you're carrying, iPad, laptop, I don't recommend bringing too many of these things because you don't want to lose them. But if you are bringing an iPad or if you're bringing a laptop, have those in your carry-on and not in your luggage. Any cash, if you're bringing it, bring it in your carry-on. Don't put that in your luggage. You want to bring a Jainamaz, a prayer mat with you because we'll have to do our Maghrib prayers at the airport at DIA because we're going to be there at 4:30. Namaz is around 5. And then, so once we have checked in and we're by the gate, we'll get a little bit of time and we can do namaz at that time, Maghrib Isha. And then Fajr will end up being on the plane. So you want to bring a Jainamaz and a Mohar with you. Bring one extra outfit in the carry-on. I hate to say this, but unfortunately, last time that we went in, which was, Christmas, so things were much more busy at that time, but unfortunately, our luggage got lost and a lot of us didn't have any extra clothes or any extra supplies with us, and we had to go buy clothes locally in Iraq, which is not the end of the world, but it's just very inconvenient. I'm not concerned about that happening this time because it's not a busy time of the year. But just to be safe, it's better to have one extra outfit in your carry-on or in your backpack, just so, God forbid, if the suitcases get delayed, you have a change of clothes with you at all times. Hand sanitizer and wipes, these are optional, but it's probably just good to have it. We're going through international airports. There's a lot of traffic. We don't want to get sick. And in that same spirit, it's better to have a mask as well. Again, you cannot control people on the plane sneezing, coughing, and so and even when you go to the harams, it's good to have a mask on because again, you can't control other people's personal hygiene. So in the spirit of wanting to avoid getting sick, it's good to just have a mask with us. There was a question about cash. So the cash that I'm referring to here is the $700. That's which we'll talk about in just a few minutes as far as the payment. As far as like personal spending money, that's really up to you. Some people are planning to do like ring shopping and all of that, so it's up to you how much cash you bring. But obviously, whatever cash you bring is at your own risk and your own responsibility. Um, I do not recommend bringing large amounts of cash because then, God forbid if it gets lost or stolen, then it's just another nightmare to have to deal with. Okay. Safety considerations. Alhamdulillah, Najaf, Karbala, these places are generally pretty safe. No one's gonna mug you. Even if you go to the haram at 2 in the morning, no one's going to come and like snatch your purse or things like that. But in general, it's good to be careful. There's bad people everywhere, including in Najaf and Karbala. So it's better if you go to the harams, when you go to the shrines, try to go in pairs. So have at least one other person that you go with, especially if it's your first time going for ziyarat. Looking at the list of names in this group, about half the people, this is their first experience, and half the people it seems to have been before. So many people are a little more experienced. If you have been before, it's a very good deed for you that when you go to the haram, you take somebody with you who's a new person. And so you can go together, you can show them around, you can help them navigate the process. There's obviously a lot of reward in performing ziyarat, but there's also a lot of reward in facilitating other people's ziyarat, right? So facilitating other people's ziyarat is not just sponsoring financially or paying for their flight or their scholarship. As they're going to the haram, helping them, saying, okay, let's go together. I'll show you where the rosary is. I show you where to put your shoes. Here's what we do. Here's where you get your mohar, dua books, all of these things. This is a very noble deed to do. So find somebody that if you know there are people in the group, if it's their first time, go out of your way to offer to them that, hey, next time that you want to go, we can go together. And that way they feel a little more comfortable. We'll try to do a group trip at least once a day every time. So at least every day when we're in Kazimain, we'll do one on the first day, one on the second day. Same thing in Karbala, we'll do, one group trip every day. Same thing in Najaf. But if you want to go other times of the day, try to go in groups or try to go in pairs, especially if it's your first time. The second consideration is wear the lanyard at all times. So we're gonna have these ready to go. I'll figure out a way to get them to everybody. Maybe we'll bring it and give it to you in Iraq. But the lanyards will have your name, obviously, but it will have the contact information for all the hotels. It will have like my phone number. It will have the contact information for Brother Muhammad Raza Jafar. So Muhammad Raza Jafar is our local ground travel agent that's helping us make all these arrangements. Um, and so, God forbid if you get lost, you can't find your way, and you didn't go with another person, the lanyard and that card will have all the details as far as where to go, which way to navigate. And so please, whenever you go to the harams, have that lanyard on you at all times. Stay together during group trips. So we are going to have group trips, to Samarra. We're going to have group trips when we're in Karbala. Let me go back here. So we're going to go to like Tilla Zainabiyya. We're going to go to the Khayamgah, to the Khaymagah. We're going to go to the Furat, Maqam Imam Sadiq. All of these places that we're going to go as a group, please stay together with the group. We don't want to have a situation where we went to Masjid Kufa and then somebody, got left behind, right? Or we're all now waiting in the bus for extra 45 minutes because we can't find person fulan. So please try to stay together with the group when we're doing these group visits. When you're going, like when we're in Karbala and Najaf, you can go to the harams any time of the day or night. That's up to you. But when we're doing the group trips, we're going to get on a bus and go to Wadi Salam. We're going to get on a bus and go to Masjid Kufa. We're going to get on a bus and go to Masjid Hannana. Those times, please stay together with the group so we don't lose anybody. And then if you get, especially during the travel, like while we're flying, so everybody has their own ticket, everybody has their own seat. If you get separated from the group, either at Denver Airport or at Istanbul Airport, don't worry about it. Just keep going, right? The goal is to get to Iraq and we're all on the same plane. So if you get separated from the group, that's fine. Just keep going and, figure out where your gate is and get to the gate. And, we'll eventually run into each other, right? Don't, God forbid, miss the flight because you're thinking that I'm waiting for everybody, but everybody is already ahead. Hopefully there's not going to be a problem because we have 11 hours in Istanbul, so there's not going to be a rush. But in case you get separated from the group, just keep going, please, and just meet us at the gate, and then we'll all be reunited again. Okay, communication. Please check the WhatsApp group often. I know Some people don't like using WhatsApp, but that is just the medium that works for everybody. So please pin that group in your WhatsApp homepage so that it's at the top. And also, please make sure that you have notifications turned on. So some people don't have WhatsApp notifications on. This is not so critical between now and Friday, but once we're departing on this trip, please make sure that your notifications are turned on, and please respond promptly to messages, to any questions, to any requests. So just so that we can all, stay in touch. We're going to be posting all the daily plans. We're going to be letting you know, hey, tomorrow at whatever, 10 a.m. we're leaving for Masjid Kufa. Please plan to be in the lobby by 9:45. So all of those announcements are going to come through the WhatsApp group. If you're not getting the notifications, unfortunately, you might end up having to miss those trips. Um, Please don't forward things on the group. Don't send, videos and those things. Unless, of course, it's something relevant. Like if you find a nice lecture or something where there's a scholar that's talking about Ziyarat or Imam Hussein or those things, then yes, those things are fine. But otherwise, generally, please let's not forward irrelevant content on the group, so it can be mostly for announcements. Um, Check with your cell phone carrier and see if they have free international roaming. So if you have T-Mobile I know offers free international roaming, which means your phone will work in Iraq. Signal will be kind of slow, but you'll get text messages and you'll have internet, or what you'll have data. It'll be 3G instead of 5G, but it'll work okay-ish. And then obviously in the hotels we'll have Wi-Fi. I don't know about AT&T and T and Verizon and all these other ones, so you can check with your cell phone company and find out how it works for international roaming. But I know for sure T-Mobile does offer that. And then for those who don't have that option, we can get the local SIM cards in Iraq if your phone is not going to have service there. That's up to you. It's not a necessity, but if you'd like to be able to, be on your phone when you're going to the harams and take your phone with you, then and you want to have service, then we can get the local SIMs. And I can find out how much those cost, or if somebody knows, if you want to post in the chat how much those are. I'm assuming it's not more than like $20-30. Okay, visa forms. Again, I will send these on the WhatsApp group, or I can email it to you. Please print out the form, fill it out, and bring it with you on Friday. The visa is upon entry in Iraq, so we will collect all of these when we land in Baghdad. I will collect all these forms, and I will, we have an agent who's going to meet us there. We're going to give him the forms and the visa fees and the copy of your passport. So the visa form and copy of your passport. Please bring those with you on Friday. Those are very critical. Okay. And then lastly, in terms of logistics, please bring the payment. I know there's a few people who are on the scholarship, but if you're not one of those 6 people that are getting the scholarship, this payment for the ground package, which is $700, please bring that in $100 bills. Don't bring like 20s or 50s, bring it in $100 bills. And I would prefer if you just bring it to Iraq and then give it to me there, because I already have to carry the visa fee cash with me from here. And so there's a limit on how much cash each person can carry. So I would prefer if you just keep your own cash with you, the 700 with you, and give it to us in Baghdad, or in Najaf, whatever. And then we can pay the remainder of the balance for the trip. Okay, those are all the logistical points I wanted to go over. I want to speak just a little bit from a spiritual, mental preparation side of things. But before we get to that, just want to see, are there any questions, comments, anything that doesn't make sense, anything that I skipped? You can unmute yourself and ask, or you can post in the chat. There's a question about room assignments. So we'll share those in the WhatsApp group as well. In general, yes, we are trying to make sure that family members are able to be roomed together. Yes, that was the question. Any other questions on like the logistical side of things? Okay. So just want to take a few minutes of your time to orient ourselves mentally and spiritually as we, inshallah, look forward to the next 1 week. What is the purpose of ziyarat, right? Why do we go for ziyarah? There are a few different things that are mentioned. Primarily, ziyarah is a method for us to maintain a connection and a relationship with the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. We would visit the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam during their lives. When they were alive, the people would visit them, and we try to visit them after they have, left this apparent world where they have become martyred as well. So it's about maintaining that connection with the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. It's also to assert our identity as followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So ziyarat is something that is associated with us as Shias, and so it becomes one of those identity matters, that this is something that Shias do because this is how they demonstrate their identity, that they follow Imam Hussein, they follow Imam Jawad, they follow Imam Askari. And so it's asserting that identity that we have as followers of Ahlul Bayt, as Shias and Asharis. It is also to affirm their authority and guardianship. So we recognize, and we say this when we recite the ziyarats, that I accept your authority, I accept you as the authority of Allah upon me, that I do what you command, that your wish is 100% applicable to me, and I live my life according to your teaching. So by performing ziyarat, you are affirming and confirming that they have this authority and guardianship upon you. And lastly, it's a demonstration of our love and devotion, right? To think of it in very, very simple terms, when you love somebody, you want to see them, you want to go visit them, you want to spend time with them. And so if I love the Imams, I want to be in their presence, I want to spend time with them. And so it's a very simple and but straightforward way to think about it, is that when you love somebody, you want to be with them. And in the ideal world, I should love the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt more than anybody else. Therefore, I have an intense desire to want to spend time in their presence and their company. Just a few hadiths on this subject. So Imam Rida alayhi salam says that there is a binding contract on every follower and Shia toward his Imam, and the most perfect and beautiful way to fulfill this contract is by visiting their graves. On the day of judgment, they will intercede for those who visit them, longing for it and believing in what has been commanded. Second hadith is from the Prophet ﷺ, where he says that whoever visits me or visits anyone from my progeny, then on the day of judgment I will visit him and save him from the terrors of that day. And the third one is from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, where he says that when Allah wishes well for a servant, when Allah wants something good for a person, one of the ways that Allah shows that is by putting in that person's heart the love for Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the desire for the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So a couple of spiritual considerations that you want to consider before the trip. I want to talk about a few things during the trip, and then I want to talk about the etiquette of the ziyarat. A few spiritual considerations before the trip. Ensure, meaning between now and Friday, ensure that you keep your intentions purely for the sake of Allah. So ziyarat, just like any other good deed, we want to do it qurbatan ilallah. I'm not doing it to pat myself on the back. I'm not doing it so I can show off. I'm not doing it so I can come and tell people that, I'm a Karbalai now, or I'm a, whatever. I'm doing it for the sake of Allah. And if nobody knew about my ziyarat, that's okay. But I'm doing it for Allah. I'm not doing it for any other purpose. It is an act of worship, just like Quran is an act of worship, just like dua is an act of worship, namaz is an act of worship, fasting is an act of worship. Visiting the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam is also an act of worship. So as much as possible, constantly keep trying to purify your intention, remove any kind of show off, or, I feel superior to others. This person, they've never even been for ziyarat before, or look at me, this is my third time going. You don't want to let any kind of show off or any kind of arrogance enter into our hearts. We want to do this purely for the sake of Allah. Number two is before the trip. I mean, in general, we should be careful about this, but especially the days leading up to the trip, keep up with your wajibat, especially the namaz. Please, 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 under no circumstances, make your namaz qaza. Do all your prayers, ideally awwal waqt on time, but keep up with your wajibat, especially your prayers, and stay away from haram, right? Whether it's haram music, whether it's backbiting, whether it's any kind of guna and sin. We remember that Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, the Quran says they are yutahhirakum tathira. They are the highest level of purification. So if I want to be close to them, I have to also purify myself. If I want to be able to benefit from that spiritual energy of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, then I need to keep myself away from impurities. And the way to keep myself away from impurities is to keeping my soul pure is by doing my wajibat, doing the things that are wajib and staying away from the things that are haram. Now that's between you and Allah. At the same time, when it comes to between you and other people, especially other mu'mineen, make your amends with people. If you have a grudge against somebody, if there's beef between you and other people, now is the time to reach out to them and make those amends. Now is the time to seek forgiveness from anybody that you think I said something and they got offended and I know they're angry at me, but I'm just too embarrassed to admit it. Now is the time to ask for that forgiveness. Now is the time to fix that relationship. Because remember, when we go for ziyarat, one of the things that we say is Silmun liman salamakum. Right? O Imam Hussein, we say this to all the Imams. I am at peace with those who are at peace with you. That has to be a true statement, meaning that if somebody else who loves Imam Hussein and I have a beef with that person, then it's not true that I am silmun liman salamakum. So in order to be truthful in our claim to Imam Hussein that silmun liman salamakum, I'm at peace with those who are at peace with you, then I need to go and make peace with those people if I have any kind of grudges or fights or they made me angry, I'm upset with them. You have about 7 days to clear clear those accounts with people. Give sadaqah before departing. So especially since we're traveling on Friday and it's mustahab to give sadaqah on Friday anyway, but remember on Friday to give some amount of sadaqah. If you can't find like a poor person on the side of the street, then give it online through one of these channels. But try to give a little bit of sadaqah, whatever it is that you can afford, $5, $10. But it's very good to give sadaqah before you leave for any journey. It's good to give sadaqah on the day of Friday, and it's good to give sadaqah, especially when you're traveling for ziyarat. And then, as much as possible, again, in the amount of time that we have, learn about the lives of the imams. There are good lectures, there's podcasts, there's a lot of good content available online. There are books that are available that talk about the lives of the imams, especially the imams that are buried in Iraq, right? Imam Ali, Imam Hussein. We're going to have the opportunity to visit 6 imams during this trip, so that's half of them. So as much as possible, try to learn about their lives between now and then try to recite the du'as and the ziyarat that are associated with them. So try to recite. There's a different ziyarat, sorry, for each day of the week. So for example, Saturday is the day of Rasulullah, Sunday is the day of Imam Ali and Lady Fatima, Monday is the day of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. They're short ziyaras. They're like 1 or 2 minutes long for each of these imams associated with their days. So try to recite those ziyarats. Recite Ziyarat Ashura, recite Ziyarat Jamia, recite Ziyarat Aminullah, Dua Tawassul. When we get to the harams, there's going to be ziyarat specifically for Imam Kazim, ziyarat specifically for Imam Jawad, for Imam Hussein. You can go on duas.org and find those ziyarats and read the translation from now. Inshallah, one of the things that we're going to have are these ziyarat booklets, which again, I ordered them. They're arriving on Tuesday, so I'll figure out a way to get them to everybody before Friday, so I don't have to drag 20 copies in my suitcase, but I'll try to get everybody their copy of their booklet between now and next Friday. And that booklet will have the translations of all the ziyarats that we're going to recite. It will have the explanation of everywhere we're going. There's pictures, there's maps, illustrations, and so you can look at that at that booklet, and it will have the translations of all these ziyarats. So try to recite those the translations in advance just to kind of orient yourself mentally before we actually get there. Okay, so these are the things that you want to be careful of before the trip. Now, during the trip, again, as always, pay attention to the wajibat and muharramat, especially your prayers. There's going to be a very narrow window on the plane from Denver to Istanbul because you're going against the sun. So you get like 30 minutes to do your Fajr prayer. And so we'll just have to try our best to find a space and to do our namaz. But we don't want to miss our namaz, especially not during a ziyarah trip. But in general, during the trip, do your wajibat, stay away from the things which are haram, and especially be careful about your prayers. Guard your tongue, right? And guard your eyes. So when it comes to your tongue, with things like, talking about other people, we get annoyed, we're going to get frustrated, we're going to get mad at others. Um, you know, guard your tongue. That's one of the most important things that we can do. Make sure you're not saying anything offensive to somebody else. You get annoyed at somebody, just bite your tongue at that point. Don't speak, don't say anything, don't hurt the feelings of others, don't go and complain to others about that person. Guard your tongue during this trip. And the other piece is guard your eyes, right? Let's just be very frank about this. We are a group of 20 people, about half males, half females. There's a lot of non-mahrams traveling together. And there's non-mahrams at the airport, there's non-mahrams in Iraq. Be very, very careful with your eyes. Guard your eyes and make sure that, Shaitan doesn't just live in Denver. Like Shaitan is in Karbala, Shaitan is in Najaf, Shaitan is everywhere. So guard your eyes, be very, very careful when it comes to the opposite gender, and make sure you're able to maintain your haya and your modesty. Exercise respect and patience. Um, like I said, and this is the final point, is things can go wrong and things will go wrong, right? Last time that we went on a youth trip, all of our suitcases got lost. Some of us got them 3 days later. Some of us got them 6, 7 days later. I remember Yama got his suitcase the night before we came back. And then Mehrabin and um, Mrs. Alizada didn't even get their suitcases. They got delivered back to DIA, and I had to go pick them up from the airport and take them to their house. So they never even had their suitcases while they were there. Right? Stuff will happen. Flights might get delayed. We know things are kind of unstable politically right now, so they might reroute our flight, or the layover in Istanbul turns from 11 hours to 20 hours. These things can go wrong. These things probably will go wrong. And these are all tests of our sincerity. Allah wants to make sure that when we're coming for the ziyarat of Ahlul Bayt, especially for the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that I still care for the ziyarat of Imam Hussein, even if my favorite hoodie didn't make it, right? Or I still care about the ziyarat of Imam Hussein. I still am so glad and thankful to be here, even if my clothes are not here, my iPad, didn't make it, or whatever it is that didn't make it. So please, try to exercise patience. There will be inevitably tests of your sincerity, right? There's the verse in the Quran where Prophet Musa approaches the tree, the burning tree, and Allah calls out to him that, "O Musa, you are in the sacred valley. فَخْلَعْ نَعْلَيْكَ." Take your shoes off. And some of the Mufassirin have explained that what it means that, "O Musa, you're in a sacred valley, take your shoes off," is that the shoes are symbolically referring to any worldly attachments. So Allah is saying to Prophet Musa that when you come to me, drop all your worldly attachments behind, right? And so in this case, if Allah makes, God forbid, if our suitcases get lost, or we have a 48-hour layover in Istanbul, or these a bus breaks down, or, like things like that happen, this is a test of our patience. This is a test of our sincerity. And it's good to approach it from that perspective right now versus it happens to you then, and then, we have a meltdown. So it's very important that we exercise respect toward each other. There will be things we're sharing spaces with each other. Okay, this person, they go in the shower and they're in there for 30 minutes. As you spend time with people, one of the best ways to get to know somebody is when you travel with them, right? So you might learn things about other people in the community that you didn't know, and some of them are not positive things to know about others, but this is all part of traveling together as a group of people, is that people's true reality, one of the ways that people's true reality is revealed is when they travel. And so, very, very important to exercise respect with each other, exercise kindness, forgiveness, and patience with each other and with yourself in general. Okay, etiquette of ziyarat. The term ziyarat comes from the root zara, which means to visit. So, this is what we are told when it comes to how to perform ziyarah, is that visiting the imams after their martyrdom is not any different than visiting them in their life. So don't say or don't think that I'm going for the ziyarat of the grave of Imam Jawad alayhi salam. No, I'm going to visit Imam Jawad alayhi salam. I'm going to visit Imam Kazim alayhi salam. I'm going to visit Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. So you're not going to visit their graves, you're visiting the person. And we know the Quran tells us that the shuhada are alive, and the Imams have told us that in order to maximize this experience, visiting us in our life is the same as visiting us after we have become shaheed. So have this mindset that I'm going to actually visit the Imam, right? If the Imam were alive and I was going to Medina, this is no different than that experience. That mindset, that intention is very important to have. Before you go to the shrine, it's recommended to perform ghusl, to wear new clothes, and to put on perfume, right? If you have new clothes or at least at a minimum clean clothes, um, again, imagine like you were going to visit somebody that's very special and very important. How would you do that, right? You would put on nice clothes, you look your very best, you don't put on perfume, you do a ghusl. So you want to look your very best when you go and visit the imam. Of course, within the limits of hijab and what is permissible. But in general, we are told that put on new clothes, clean clothes, put on perfume when you go to the shrines, except for the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, where we are told that do not put on perfume when you come to visit Imam Hussein. Deodorant and all those things, those are fine, and it's not haram. It's just saying that when you go to visit all the other imams, you go in a state of jubilation, like you're about to go visit someone, that you're happy to see them. When you go visit Imam Hussein, then you approach it with a broken heart and with a memory of his thirst and his oppression and his mazlumiyat. So for the ziyarat of Imam Hussein, we are told it is not good to put on perfume or to, go in a state of, you're still good to do ghusl before you go. And at least wearing clean clothes is mustahab. As you walk toward the harams, as you walk toward the shrines, take short steps and recite dhikr as much as possible. You can pick any dhikr, you can recite salawat, you can recite, dua, you can recite La ilaha illallah, subhanallah. But take short steps, walk slowly, recite a lot of dhikr. The more steps you take, the more reward it is. Every step that you take walking toward the harams of the imams is a good deed is written for you. And focus on the imam. Focus on the fact that I'm going to visit Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I'm walking to the palace of Imam Jawad alayhi salam. Avoid nonsense conversations, laughing, joking. You don't want to do these things, right? Like make your intention very, very pure and clean and focused on the Imam. I don't want to get distracted by all of this nonsense and whatever is around me. I want to be focused singularly on the fact that I'm about to enter into the presence of Imam Jawad alayhi salam. I'm about to enter in the presence of Imam Hadi alayhi salam. I'm about to enter in the presence of Imam Ali alayhi salam. When you leave the hotel, take some change with you, and it's good to give out sadaqah. That's also one of the things that's recommended. And we can, when you have the cash, we can exchange it for local Iraqi currency. One thing you just have to be careful of is that when you give money to like people on the side of the streets there, that can be a double-edged sword because sometimes you will unfortunately, this is the sad reality of how Iraq has been destroyed by the Western powers. But there's just so much poverty that you just get ambushed by people when they see you giving money out, right? And then it's very difficult to navigate that. So do that at your own risk, or just have like a whole bunch of, you know, 1,000 Iraqis, which is like less than $1, with you. And then you can give them to like 10 different people. Or outside the shrines, like when you walk in, most of the harams, they'll have like a sadaqah box. And usually those funds are managed by orphanages that are associated with the Office of the Maharaja. So you can always put your sadaqah there where you know it will be managed properly and correctly, and get to the appropriate recipients. But it's good to give sadaqah when you're leaving your home in Denver on Friday, but then every time you go for ziyarat, give a little bit of sadaqah. It's good to do that. Once you get to the haram, seek permission from the imam to enter, right? This is the sanctuary of the imam. This is his palace. You want to ask his permission before you go in. There's a izn dukhul, which is that's what izn dukhul is permission to enter. And you recite that, and it's in Arabic, but the goal is to understand. So you don't have to do it in Arabic, you just recite it in English. The most important thing is to speak to the Imam. And so as you read that translation, focus on the meaning, and speak to the Imam and say, let's say if it's the Haram of Imam Jawad and Imam Kazim in Kazmain, then focus on the words and say, Alhamdulillah, Imam Kazim, Imam Jawad, thank you for giving me this opportunity to come here to perform this worship. I am here at your door. Do you give me permission? I ask you to please give me permission to enter. Right? So you ask for permission, and then you enter into the haram. You recite the ziyarat of the imam. The booklet will tell you, right, is when you approach this place, stand here and recite this. If you can't find space to stand, if it's crowded, you can recite it from anywhere. It's not a problem. When we go together as a group, we'll recite everything outside so everybody can hear it, because men will go separately, women will go separately. But the goal is to focus on the translation. Make sure you understand the meaning of these things. The goal is not just to say the Arabic words. You want to have a conversation with the imam. You're going to go visit somebody. You want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with them. So as you're reciting the ziyarah, focus on the translation. You don't even have to say the Arabic. Say it in English, say it in Farsi, whatever language it is that you feel comfortable. As you go inside, you will notice sometimes, and unfortunately this happens often in the ladies section, is that people can get rowdy or they push each other. Try your best to not get upset or get annoyed or offended at others. Just remember, you want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Alhamdulillah, you're coming from America and you had an air-conditioned flight and you're staying in this nice, like, 4-star hotel. Maybe this other person is being pushy because they're sleeping on the street and they only have like 4 hours before they have to go back to wherever they came from, right? Maybe that's why they're being pushy. Maybe that's why they're being rowdy. Maybe this person is uneducated and so they don't know any better, right? Like, try to be patient, try to be calm with others. Don't get annoyed, don't get angry. Just remember that, all their high energy and all that enthusiasm and the fact that they might be pushing and trying to get close to the imam, it's coming from a good place, right? This is their love for Imam Hussein is so intense that they just want Imam Hussein all to themselves, and they're gonna push me out of the way. Okay, maybe there's something beautiful about that I can appreciate, right? So don't get upset, don't get annoyed at other people, don't get angry at others if you feel like they're pushing. Imam Hussein is there, he knows you're there, and he can hear you, and he can hear your dua, he can hear your ziyarat. One of the things that you will recite, and this is why I'm saying the translation is so important, is that one of the things that we say at the shrine of Imam Hussein, at the shrine of the other Imams, is that Ashhadu annaka antakum tasma'u kalami wa taraddu jawabi. That, oh Imam, I know and I bear witness that you hear my salam and you respond to my salam. So the Imam hears what you're saying. The Imam is there physically. He's his spiritually he's present. So he can see you. Doesn't matter if you can touch the zari or not, if you can get close to the zari or not. You're in the palace of the Imam. Behave in a way that is befitting of behaving in the palace of a king. Right? So don't get upset or annoyed at others if they're, getting rowdy or whatever. And then again, in general, try to spend as much time as possible in the haram. So there's some formalities, like you do the isn't the whole the permission, then you go and you recite the ziyarat, but then come out in the sanctuary or find a quiet little spot and sit there and contemplate on the meaning of your life and where am I headed and what am I doing and what are my shortcomings. Speak to the imam. Ask the imam to, help you become a better person. Ask the imam to give you wisdom and guidance. Do your qaza prayers, do your, recite Quran, recite dua. Try to maximize the amount of time in the shrine, right? When I say in the shrine, that means being in the presence of the imam. The closer I can be to the imam as much as possible, the more of that spiritual energy I'm able to get from them. But of course, if you feel bored, if you feel overwhelmed, just leave, come back. You don't want to sit there and like pull out your phone and like start, watching TikTok or playing games, right? Like if you feel like you've had your enough for the day, spiritually you feel full, leave, come back to the hotel, rest, do whatever you want. Don't do things that are mubah or makruh in the presence of the imam. One question that a lot of people ask for, especially if it's your first time, is, what should I ask for? Like, and you'll see this sometimes with people is that when they go for ziyarah, they're very fixated on, I'm gonna go ask Imam Hussein for, I need children, I want to get married, I want to have a job, I needed my degree, I want to get to this university, I want to all of this. Always keep in mind the purpose of ziyarat. Why am I going here? I'm going here to express my love for the Imam and to pay my allegiance to the Imam. That's why I'm here. Imam Hussein, I love you. That's why I spent all this money and came here. Imam Jawad, I love you. That's why I spent all this money and I came here. Imam Kazim, I love you and that's why I'm here. So I'm here primarily because I love somebody, and when you love somebody, you want to be in their presence. You want to be close to them. That's why I'm here. Now, the person that you're going to visit, they are Karim ibn Karim. They are generous from the descent of those who are generous. And a generous person does not turn away their guests without granting them, right? So don't worry, the Imam is not going to return you empty-handed, right? But the focus does not need to be my wishes and what I need to ask for. As I walk into the haram, I say my Iznid Dukhul, I ask for permission, I walk in, I say my salam, which is the ziyarat is basically you're saying salam to the imam and you're greeting the imam. Speak to the imam, express your gratitude for being there, thank the imam for inviting you for being for there. Thank Allah that I have been guided to be among the followers of the imams. Thank Allah that He gave you the opportunity to come for ziyarat. And then you ask the imam for your desires and your wishes. But before you get to those, ask them for big things, right? Don't limit the scope of what the imam is capable of giving you. The imam will give you a promotion, the imam will give you marriage, the imam will give you that university admission, the imam will give you the degree or whatever it is that you're seeking. Those are small things. Others can give that to you too. But ask the imam for things like, oh imam, I'm asking you, please help me become closer to Allah. Oh imam, I have these spiritual shortcomings. I get angry very quickly. I have jealousy problems. I have resentment toward others. I have arrogance. I have too much pride. Oh imam, please fix these problems that I have. Oh imam, I'm living in this era of misguidance. There's constant misguidance in the 21st century. Please save me from becoming misguided. Oh imam, grant me knowledge, grant me wisdom, fix my akhlaq, help me become in a way that you are proud to call me your follower, right? Those are the more important things to ask the imams for. And then, yes, you can also ask for the, car or the house or the children or the marriage or the university or whatever worldly desires that you have. Of course, you can ask for those things too. But others people can, I can give you a new car if that's what you want, right? But I can't help you become closer to Allah. That's something that the Imam can only help you with, right? I cannot help you with removing your spiritual shortcomings, but the Imam can do those things. So you're going to somebody who's the peak of humanity, who has that direct connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're the representative of God. So don't limit what you're asking them for. Ask them for everything and anything, and keep the scope very wide and very vast of your desires and wishes from the Imams. Last piece, and inshallah we'll conclude, is How to make the most of this trip. So try to do all your prayers in the haram in Jamaat, right? If you time your visits in a way that I'm going to go to the haram like 1 hour before the time of prayer, then I go there, I do my ziyarat, hang out for a little bit, then it's going to be time for the Jamaat, I'll pray, and then after the prayer, I'll come back to the hotel, right? If possible, try to do all your prayers in the haram in Jamaat. It's very, very powerful. Attend the lectures. So we're going to, at least in Karbala and Najaf, where the hotel has like a conference room, we'll try to do daily lectures on a variety of topics. And so please try to attend those if you have topic suggestions. We can also do some discussions, guided conversations. And so if you have any suggestions or topics of things you'd like to talk about, certainly we can try to do those. Um, Try to spend as much time as possible in the shrines, right? Like we're going all the way there, especially if you're one of the students who's receiving the scholarship. There are people who are sponsoring you to go, make the most of this. So just go to the harams and just sit there and contemplate on your relationship with Allah. Recite Quran, do your qaza prayers. Most of you, as far as I know, have been before, who have been there before, went for Arba'in when it's really busy and really packed. The advantage of going right now is that it's not very busy. And so you'll have a ton of opportunity and a ton of empty space in the shrines where you can just sit there in a corner and just talk to Allah, do forgiveness, seek forgiveness for your sins, make a pledge on how you can become a better person, reflect on your life, kind of chart out your future and your next 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year plan. As much as possible, try to spend the time in the harams, in the shrines, in the sanctuary of the imams. Be careful. I've said this many, many times, but be careful with your wajibat and muharramat. One of the ways to completely ruin this trip is to miss your namaz. One of the ways to ruin this trip is by backbiting about others. One of the ways to ruin this trip is to be cruel and mean and condescending toward others, right? So one of the ways to ruin this trip is to look inappropriately at a non-mahram. So be very, very careful with your wajibat and the muharramat. Guide your eyes, guide your tongue. I've said this many, many times. And lastly, again, I say this over and over, but exercise patience, right? We know most of us, we know each other in a more of a formal capacity. We've known each other for a while. We've been to Mehmanis, Masjid, all these places, but you don't truly get to know somebody until you travel with them. So we're going to learn a lot about each other. Some things will be positive, some things will be not so positive. The most important thing in order to make this successful and pleasant for everybody is to have a lot of patience, have a lot of forgiveness, have a lot of tolerance, have a lot of forbearance. Because when we travel, that's when the true reality of a person comes out. And when things might go sour, like we lose our suitcases or the bus breaks down and we're stuck in the middle of the highway for 3 hours until a replacement bus comes in, or the air conditioning stops working, or the hotel loses power, or the Wi-Fi is not working, that's when our true nature comes out. And so for all of us, it's very important that we exercise a lot of patience, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of tolerance, a lot of forbearance. And remember that our intention is purely for the sake of Allah. The more hardship, the more difficulty that we go through on this trip, not that we're trying to invite any hardship, obviously, but the more hardship and more difficulty I go with, the more pure my intentions become and the more rewarding and enriching of an experience it's going to be in terms of being a growth opportunity for me and my soul. And of course, the more reward I'm going to receive for my trip. That is exactly 1 hour. So I will stop here and pause for any questions, comments, feedback, anything I missed. And if anybody else would like to add any other thoughts, those who have been before, if there was anything that you would like to share from your experience or your wisdom, please feel free to do so either in the chat or by unmuting yourself. Okay. Alhamdulillah, thank you all for joining. Again, I pray to Allah that may He grant us sincerity, may He accept our ziyarat, may He make this an opportunity for us to gain nearness to Him. and to the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. May Allah grant us all not one, but many, many of these opportunities to visit the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet. Inshallah, let's conclude with the recitation of Surah Al-Asr, as was the practice of the Prophet with his gatherings. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Thanks for putting this together, Aslam.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good night, everybody. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you. Good
خداحافظ.